into your house.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
All right, this is the one I can feel it. Podcast. The first and the best Chiefs podcast. Real ones know the show is called Amateur Hour. The Amateur Hour podcast is now airing on KC Sports Network. Ryan Scott Hall and his Dirkness are back again. We've got football, friendship, and fun. All these shows, we're still number one, season 12. Oh, wow, here it comes. Welcome, my friends, to Amateur Hour podcast. Man, I can't hit that note right. Podcast! Is that right? Well.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
What is this, amateur hour?
Yeah, I ain't no Superman businessman like you. You know, I'm just an
Amateur.
I suppose.
Amateur Hour.
Is what's happening.
Amateur Hour.
Is what's happening.
Yeah, that's right, folks. The show is called Amateur Hour. I'm Ryan Scott Hall, and joining me today, he's no Dante Hall, but he's certainly the X factor of this program. It's his Dirkness.
Sup up?
You know what? Who's hanging? A little Tuesday night.
Think I'm
Back where we're supposed to be.
little human joysticky.
Oh, hey, it's Ryan Ewing. Hey, buddy. Hope you liked the game. In town when I think he actually double dipped. Did a little Sporting KC and then a little Chiefs Chargers.
I will have you know I was in presence at the Galaxy game to try and get Sporting their playoff berth, and then after the game, tried to chase down Clark Hunt, who they were playing Dallas. Tried to chase down. I was like, "Holy shit, it's Clark Hunt on the field!" Now we were like third row. The kids, my nephews, were getting signatures or whatever, autographs, whatever they call those. And I saw him and took off like the most excited child in the stadium. Almost tracked him down.
The video that you posted.
You should have seen me hopping over bleachers. I was
basically nothing. Clark Hunt! Clark!
Like, get these fucking kids out of the way. It could have been me Costanza-ing a bunch of kids out of the way. But
that'll happen. Well, you know, you're pushing kids. Taylor's screaming in kids' faces at the game. Sounds like a regular Kansas City weekend.
Taylor Swift did that?
Oh, she just like yelled in the face of Mahomes' kids.
Oh man, I can't wait for her to pour.
She was like in the faces of the babies.
I can't wait for her to pour champagne all over everybody.
Vindication for Brittany Mahomes.
Tradition unlike any other. Teach her the ways.
Yeah.
So let's get going here. We ended last week's show spewing out a ton of offensive stats. With a bit of disagreement at the end that we didn't really have time to embark on at all. But it was in our stats that we were giving you guys. It was very clear that the 2023 Chiefs offense lagged behind the other offenses of the Mahomes era. I've been pretty steadfast all year that this has been a slow start, but they're going to turn it around. And, you know, I trust Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce as long as he is at full go. But they're going to turn this around and be right back where they were the other couple years. You were a bit more skeptical, thinking this is more of a sign of things to come for all of 2023. So I asked you, Ryan, after the Chiefs lit it up in the first half, sort of limped to the finish in the second half, did this game change your mind at all about the Chiefs offense?
You know, it's a really complicated case, Dirk. A lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous.
Post corners.
A lot of strands to keep an old duder's head here. A lot of strands. Look, a lot of things have happened since we talked last week. Okay. McCole Hardman, he's back.
Oh, is this a cop-out?
Patrick Mahomes, he's back. Travis Kelce, he's back. MVS, he's back. Explosive plays, back. Look, it's one game. I don't know if the Chargers defense is good. I think they're bad.
I think they're actually bad.
Yes. Yes.
I
if
mean,
there's one thing we can confirm, it's the Chargers defense is bad. The whole not going to cover Travis Kelce strategy did not pay off, shockingly.
So, I mean, how about this? Like last week, we kind of discussed almost like a lack of identity for the offense. Like they're still kind of trying to figure out who's good. We start to think maybe Rashee Rice is good. But, you know, the snaps are changing. We'll get into that here in a little bit. You want to see a team that lacks a true identity? It's the Chargers. The Chargers have no idea who they are. And when that game is over, Brandon Staley says, we need to reset as a team. I mean, I don't know how many teams the Chiefs have done this to, where the game is over and they're like, we're lost now. We're in the desert, folks. We're out here in Palm Springs. We are no longer in LA. It's looking strange. I will say this about the Kansas City Chiefs offense on Sunday. It's fun to watch. Fun to watch them again. All the Mahomes numbers at halftime. I mean, don't get me wrong. The second half will kind of even things out because they were so hot in the first half. But we're sitting there at halftime talking about the single game passing yardage record is within reach.
Norm Van Brocklin. Shout out.
Well, whole bunch of really awesome looking stats for both Patrick and Travis that I'm sure we'll get into at some point. But I mean, honestly, Dirk, it seems like you had an inkling, certainly in the tweets leading up to the game, that the Chiefs were going to stretch this out into a multi-score victory. And I mean, I think you were one of the few people in that corner. We were all just kind of expecting this, you know, another Chiefs-Chargers real close game down to the end. So, I don't know, walk us through your vision there, Dirk. Why did you think that they were going to win this one by multiple scores?
Well, I mean, the NFL as a whole, you kind of, you know, zag when people zig. Everybody was just looking at the last 5 games. You know, every Chiefs-Chargers game is close. And then you had the Chiefs coming off like a lowly performance against the Broncos. You usually see if they have a performance like that, they rebound. So I just kind of thought there's a whole bunch of talk about this being close. So I just that was kind of going against the majority. And then thinking about how, you know, they coming off and just responding like that. The Chiefs just respond. And that's where I just thought, well, this seems like a good week. And the Chargers don't have a good defense at all. Like I just started thinking about the matchup, like the offense is going to win. And I trust our defense. And I just thought, I mean, I picked 31-13. It was 31-17. My vision was almost kind of more of a blowout because that was kind of still interesting until middle fourth quarter. But yeah, it just seemed like it was coming. It was due.
I don't have any like tangible season-long numbers on the Chargers defense, but
have you not seen the one floating around of their pass defense? I mean,
no.
They're 45 yards. They're the worst pass defense in the league, yardage-wise. They're 45 yards worse than the second worst pass defense, and about 60 yards worse than the third worst pass defense.
Is that per game?
Yes, just yardage per game. They're up at like 310 yards per game, which Mahomes eclipsed at halftime. Obviously, I mean, Tua lit him up for 460 in the week 1, I think. It's just the Chargers defense. I mean, there's only one solution for the Chargers. I mean, their defense is horrible. They have talent, or at least they have money spent all over the defense. There's no excuse for them to be that bad. And their head coach is a defensive head coach. Like, it's beneficial in this day's NFL to have an offensive head coach. So if you have a defensive head coach, like, he better be getting the job done on that side of the ball. And he just doesn't. I mean, they underperform every single year. I mean, I can defend some of the fourth down stuff. Some of it's kind of silly, but some of it's, it leans towards the analytics. It would be analytically correct. So I don't think that's the biggest cause. I just think this team has too much talent to be where they are record-wise. Like, they should be in the playoffs each year. They got a quarterback on a rookie deal. They have talent. I think a lot of their talent is questionable at best. I mean, Khalil Mack is now old. I've called him overrated for a while. I've called Joey Bosa the most overrated player in the NFL. I hardly even see him show up on game days anymore. Derwin James, is he as good as we lead on to believe? Like, he can do a lot, but does he do anything great? J.C. Jackson's probably the biggest answer here. He was the highest paid corner in NFL history, and he lasted what, 19 games on the Chargers, and he was benched for at least a handful of those. Like, he was maybe one of the worst free agent signings of all time. So it's just miss after miss on the defense, and it has to fall on somebody. And if you're an underachieving team like that, I mean, Staley's not going to last. Give it maybe December. Like, unless they start going on a winning streak here, he will be the first coach fired this year, I think.
It kind of feels that way. And I mean, I'm sure that he will become instantly a hot defensive coordinator candidate. I don't know if that's necessarily a good choice or not. Didn't he only have like one or maybe 2 seasons coordinating the Rams defense that was just loaded with stars at all these different positions?
And it's just part of the, he touched Sean McVay at one point, so he gets a head coaching job. It's just part of that year, 2 years.
And I mean, look, this is not a Chargers podcast, but their GM has been there. I believe this is now either his 3rd or 4th coach. Like, I don't think he can get another one. The Chargers are truly due for a reset. Words that came out of their own coach's mouth. And when I look at this Chiefs team and think about what's coming up for them on the schedule, apart from a few headliners, teams like the Dolphins and the Bills, and I suppose the Bengals, and naturally everyone I think is circling the Eagles matchup. There's a lot of trash on the schedule here too, to where I don't know how often this Chiefs team is going to be challenged going forward, to where when you asked me, like, does this change my expectations for the offense, or am I kind of looking at them differently? I think they might have a pretty boring backstretch. Unless they really are hitting on all cylinders and Andy is not doing Andy shutdown mode. Like, it could be kind of a slog, and then they show up in the playoffs and light people up because they've had the opportunity to save all this stuff. We've still got 2 games against the Raiders, the Chargers again. They've got the very lowly Patriots. I think the Packers are on there too. And I mean, Jordan Love is stinky. There's a lot to like for the Chiefs going forward. I don't know if it's necessarily going to mean that like this offense is rolling, because I almost wondered a little bit going into this Charger game if it was like Andy is circling this matchup because they want to win the division first, and the Chargers are probably the biggest threat. And so he had this, real dimed up game plan, and the Chargers came to play for a half of football.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say the Chiefs going undefeated talk would be heating up real hot right now if Kadarius Toney knew how to catch a football in week 1. It's just that's kind of the path they're on. They're looking really good. Can I just say I was really enjoying myself on, this is the best Chiefs team of the Mahomes era island. I wasn't alone on that island over there. We got Nick Wright's mayor over there, and I'm, secretary of narcotics maybe, and I'm, pitching him some ideas here and there. And, there's you see some friends over there. Hey, what's up? This week though, the ferry showed up, the people offloaded, and all of a sudden it is loaded up on Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, maybe the best team of the Mahomes era. Obviously, I think people saw the DVOA stats going around today. If you didn't, they are the first team to be top 5 in all 3 phases of the game as of week 7 since the 1999 Rams. That is the number 4 offense in DVOA, the number 5 defense, and the best unit on the Kansas City Chiefs, Dave Taubes. Number 2 special teams unit. I still have no idea. The others on the list are the 84 Redskins, 85 Bears, 90 Giants, 91 Redskins, and 96 Packers. I think 5 of those won the Super Bowl, or 4 of those 5 won the Super Bowl, or something. Oh no, the Rams won the Super Bowl. So the last 5 all won the Super Bowl. The 84 Redskins did not. But basically, it's just a premier list, and maybe the most complete team we've seen in the NFL in some time. So people are kind of coming over there to this island, and I guess they're welcome. But I was enjoying a little bit of privacy last week on that island.
Well, look, we can talk about how the Chiefs might be a 90s football team given that statistic. But first, some money.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Well, folks, registration is now open for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Kansas City's Basketball League. It's that time of year. Now, this league, specifically, a really great introductory experience for a young person that's just kind of developing their skills. All games are played on Saturdays. It's starting in January 13th, it tips off. The postseason tournament championship games are actually going to be held downtown at the nationally recognized college basketball experience, the CBE. Register your child today. Check the link in the show notes for details.
Your company can hit it out of the park with a sports league sponsorship with Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Kansas City. Reach thousands of local families while giving kids the opportunity to get in the game. Contact giving at helpkckids.org for more information.
You know, Dirk, all these teams that were offense, defense, special teams in the top 5, essentially, of DVOA all at the same time, they were all 90s. 90s, 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 right? That's what it sounded like to me. It's been a while since we've seen something like this. It's the 99 Rams was the last time.
Yeah, so the last one was at week 7. The last one was the 99 Rams. Actually, if you look at the full season, it's kind of a different list because then you're, whatever.
Right.
The 2022 Bills did it. So the Bills of last year who failed miserably in the playoffs. So
yeah, and then what happened?
I crafted a really good tweet. I was like, because then the other 5 teams on that list, they all won the Super Bowl too. So I was like, as long as the Chiefs don't run into the Chiefs in the playoffs, they'll be fine. But then I recognized that they actually lost to the Bengals last year, not the Chiefs. So that tweet fell on its ass.
I wanted to use this 90s theme as a springboard to talk about how like one-sided the Chiefs offense was. I've been kind of banging the drum, run that ball, run it ball.
You weren't alone.
Pacheco looks like he might be, the second best offensive weapon outside of Kelce. This offensive line seems to really get rolling. And we know that Andy doesn't really like to run the football. I don't want to swim too far upstream here because I don't want to disappoint myself. I know Andy's not going to hand the ball off 25 times in a game. But, dude, 17 carries for 39 yards is atrocious. It was really, really rough from the running backs. Mahomes essentially doubled their total, but 17 for 39, not great. But here, this is I got to get here because one of the things that when this offense looks like it did on Sunday, I can guarantee is a part of how their success actually materializes. It's the screen game. And I can't tell if Andy just forgets that he's arguably the best screen designer ever, or he just threads the needle perfectly because we won't see one for weeks on end. And then when he starts dialing them up, it's like, oh my God, Andy, where have these been? They scored 2 touchdowns on screens. One of them got called back, but beautiful to see the screen game back. And really, if the running backs are going to go catch 2 touchdowns like that, even though one got called back on a pretty stupid penalty, in my opinion, I don't really care how well they're running the ball. But when you see the difference between having fewer than 100 yards rushing as a team and really non-quarterback rushing below 40 yards, and yet your quarterback goes out and throws for over 400, it's not what I expected. I'll tell you that. Not what I expected from the way that this team was constructed. But, of Patrick Mahomes' 420-ish yards, we'll just say 420, nice round number. Travis Kelce basically had half of them. Quite a day for Taylor's boyfriend.
For Taylor's boyfriend, yeah. Yes, I would say, the screen game, if you weren't seeing it in the last couple weeks, that might be a good piece of evidence for old Andy Reid shutdown mode. Maybe don't put those on tape against weak opponents and save them for your stronger opponents, which you can debate if the Chargers are actually one of those, but it was kind of a game where you can seize full control of the division. So a high leverage game, at least you could say. Yeah, and so Pacheco's kind of had 3 games now in a row where he's been below 4 yards per carry, and he's all the way down at 2.5 this week, and that's coming off 3 strong games when Pacheco's really starting to assert himself for 3 games there, now 3 week games. Not totally sure what to make of that, but it is something to keep an eye on. But yeah, let's talk about Travis Kelce. I don't know what the Chargers were thinking. I can't imagine being a Chargers fan coming into this game and you're just watching Travis Kelce sit in the middle of the field wide open time after time after time after time after time. And this is coming off of, here's Kelce's last 5 games against the Chargers. 12 for 179 and 1. Actually, that was this game. Sorry. The game before that.
It's a good one.
6 for 115 and 3 touchdowns. Okay. 5 for 51. Ho-hum game there. 10 for 191 and 2 touchdowns. That's his highest yardage game ever. 7 for 104 and 9 for 90 and 1 touchdown. Those are his last 5 games against the Chargers. So they, of course, decided not to cover him and see if that's work. And maybe the Chiefs will just forget. And, you know, maybe big brain themselves right out of this one. But no, it did not work. Kelce is also the first tight end to go over 100 yards in just the first half, 2 games in a row since 2000. I wonder if that was Tony Gonzalez, the last one that did it, because 2000 would be peak Tony G there, but I don't have that answer. Also, the first of any receiver to do that, 100 yards in the first half in 5 years. And oh, by the way, Travis Kelce is 34 years old, and we were maybe questioning if he was declining at all coming into this game. Although I'm still not totally sure because all he did was just sit in the middle of the field, wide fucking open, the entire, not game, but entire first half. And then, you know, they made some great halftime adjustments. Let's cover Travis Kelce. Great job, Staley. Great job.
You know, you said that we were almost questioning a decline going into the game. I questioned decline in the first quarter. There's this play early on, probably the second drive, I think. It's like 2nd and 5. And Kelce catches the ball on one of those kind of classic Kelce come back, catch it, and then spin the way the defender is not going, always making the right decision. And he got wrapped up short of the sticks. And I'm sitting here trying to craft this tweet. They go to commercial break, trying to get my tweet off. And then on like 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, Kelce extends the play, or, you know, goes and gets them a first down, catches a nice 15-yarder wide open. Yeah. But after the 2nd and short, when he ends up getting tackled, he just didn't have that move. And it's like, this is like the signature Kelce move. And I'm like, man, like every year of his career, this is a first down for Travis Kelce. And so even though we're seeing these little signs, like he's still awesome, whatever. And then he proceeded to, you know, have 170 some odd yards receiving and look like vintage Travis. He was absolutely incredible. I have heard a few different stats. I believe that he and Mahomes finally hit the 50 touchdowns mark. They are creeping up on other like QB receiver duos historically.
They're way behind. I don't think they're going to catch like Brady and Gronk, and I want to say Rivers and Gates are 1 and 2, and they're like way ahead. I think they're at 90. There's like 91 and 89 for those two. And I think Kelce and Mahomes moved into 4th, and there's one tandem ahead of them, maybe Romo and Witten, I want to say, and they're like 1 behind them. So they're going to easily get the 3rd, but that'll be 40 more touchdowns. Could be tough.
I mean, honestly,
maybe if they play the Chargers every game, they could get there by, you know, January.
That's fair. I think that although records are nice, we don't have to have every single one. You know, Gronk can have the touchdowns. It's fine. I'm really not too concerned about it because Travis Kelce, if you guys saw, now has 99 consecutive games with at least 3 catches. He's 64 games of the next best tight end. It's not even close. Like 3 times as much as any tight end in terms of consecutive games with at least 3 catches. And I mean, he's provided he plays against Denver, I would imagine going to hit that century mark, 100 straight games with at least 3 catches. Never been done before.
They also had the streak of targets to catches. He had caught, it was 22 early in the game. I'm not sure what it totally ended at. It would have been like 25 or 26, but he had caught 25 or 26 consecutive targets. So like 100% hit rate kind of thing. So that streak was going. That was either the longest current or the longest of all time. They haven't tracked targets forever, so I don't know how that stat works. But just ridiculous stat. Another ridiculous stat, a silly one. First QB in NFL history to complete 75% of passes 3 games in a row with 40 attempts in each game for Patrick Mahomes. That's coming from our guy Scott Cashmere, the Brady hater who's been out here for the last week in these streets doing the God's work of tearing down Tom Brady. Man, don't get that guy going. Don't get him going. But he does have fun Mahomes stats too. And that was just a random one. He has a high completion percentage number and he's throwing a lot, I guess.
I mean, honestly, this was easily Mahomes' best game of the year, in my opinion. Like, I don't think it was particularly close, even though they had that lull after halftime. The Chargers made some adjustments, really seemed to kind of get the Chiefs' offense off balance a little bit. But, like, this, to me, is exactly what we've been talking about, what we've been pining for from the offense. And they only put up 31. But, man, I don't know. Like, I really saw some growth this week, particularly in the wide receiver room. Obviously, we see that Rashee Rice has the highest percent of snaps that he has so far in any game in his career. Rewards the Chiefs with over 60 yards and a really nice-looking touchdown. That guy, I believe I heard Craig say that he needs to average about 68 or 69 yards a game for the rest of the year to hit 1,000. And I think that that's very much inside the realm of possibility if he has a couple pops. He's going to need to have a couple big games in there. But my God, he looks good. But go ahead.
Sorry, we were just tracking that last week because we keep talking about the receivers and how this offense worked last year, but the receiver room is struggling this year. When the only difference really is losing Juju Smith-Schuster and adding Rashee Rice kind of thing, especially now that McColl is back. And he was basically, if you took away the first 2 games, he was only 100 yards behind the pace that Juju set last year for yardage total, and he would have increased that this week. So, I mean, he's basically on that Juju Smith total, which is just over, it was 933 yards for Juju last year, so just under 1,000. But his opportunities are just going to keep going up more and more. He keeps getting snaps. His yards per route, because he's only playing like 50% of the snaps, so his yards per route are among the best in the NFL of all receivers. So, I mean, all the promising signs from Rashee Rice. On
top of that, receiver-wise, I mean, haven't seen MVS in Lord knows how long, and he had 2 nice, long plays. I believe both of the big plays that MVS had were on broken plays too, which is an area where it seems like he's kind of struggled to find rapport with Pat. And I mean, on top of that, Sky Moore coming back for the football for the first time in his career, running with correct route depth, looking good. Also getting that great block to seal so Mahomes can pick up the 3rd and 15 on the most comical defensive alignment that the Chargers have ever put together. I mean,
other defenses line up like that. I get that everyone's shitting on it, but I've seen that defense before, and I get the idea of it. But how can, another shot at Staley? How can you guys not be ready? Everybody in the stadium knows it's 3rd and 15, especially if they drop back like that. Okay, Mahomes is going to wait for the pass rush to go by, and he's going to find a lane, and he's going to run up to the line, and then decide to either scramble or pop it over a linebacker. How can they not be ready for it? That's just like. It's like stealing. That was so easy. And it's just like, he takes off running. I'm like, surely they're going to have somebody there that can pose a threat here and be ready for him to run this. And no, not there at all. Easy 3rd and 15 conversion. And the Chiefs are kind of back to their 3rd and really long converting ways. And I would say at least half of them have been Mahomes runs this year. Yeah. I mean, even a couple that didn't count came back for penalty that he converted on 3rd and long by run. And those don't even count towards it. It's just everybody knows he wants to do this except Brandon Staley. which is the theme of this podcast. That's just let's rename the podcast. Everybody knows what's going on except Brandon Staley.
I was trying to find the leader for rushing yards by a quarterback this season. Mahomes was leading all QBs in rushing, but it looks like he's down to 5th. The usual suspects ahead of him: Jackson, Hurts, Fields, and of course Josh Dobbs. Let's try to maybe wrap it up on the offense and talk about the truly elite unit of this football team right after this break.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Well, folks, more basketball. NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball's back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with an unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You'll still start the season with an instant dub. And with DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at an even bigger basketball win. String together multiple bets from the same game or build your parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. Basketball is more fun when you're in on the action, so download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. New customers get that $200 in instant bonus bets if you just bet 5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code KCSN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Dirk, you're a big betting man.
I don't have a problem. I do not.
Throwing down some NBA bets?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to bet on a sport where they don't care about the games. That does not sound fun.
So I had just a couple other random notes on the offense. Was there anything big that you wanted to tackle before we switch gears?
No, I have an encompassing thought that kind of transitions us to defense. So go ahead, fire them off.
The main thing, the Chiefs only had 1 sack allowed. Patrick Mahomes notoriously really good at avoiding sacks. I'm starting to get a feeling though. I feel like I see a lot of veteran moves from our left tackle. It seems like there are a lot of plays where Mahomes ends up escaping the pocket, and I see some pretty questionable angles from one Donovan Smith to where I'm like, was that legal? Was that legal? I don't know if he's just getting away with some stuff because he's been in the league for a long time. And so
what are you saying? He's holding, or what are you saying?
I mean, I've seen some blocks that look like some holds that maybe look like he's kind of in the back a little bit. There's some stuff happening here with Donovan Smith that I don't know how much I trust him.
Is this a ref conspiracy theory take? Is that what you're getting for?
I'm just saying that
that would be an interesting angle to put yourself in that train.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are actually getting that ref help.
Yeah.
You fit right in. You have 31 fan bases supporting you.
It's not fair to him that he has to play with the likes of Joe Tooney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and even Juwan Taylor, who seems like he's really solidified himself after the string of penalties to start the year, looking good in both the run and the pass game. Donovan Smith, though, just seems a little shaky to me, if any of the 5 do. But, once upon a time, we thought that Casey Wigman was good because of the people that he played with. So, maybe Donovan Smith is our Casey Wigman.
Is this Casey Wigman strays? I don't know about all that. Wigman was solid, man. Great.
Okay, so how about John Wellborn? How about that? He's our John Wellborn.
There you go. Now we're talking.
All right.
Now we're talking. He should have been the weak link. He was the weak link coming in.
Wasn't supposed to be on the team, probably, I think. Right?
No, I mean Donovan Smith.
Yeah, probably wasn't supposed to be on the team. I said, like, I don't. They signed him kind of late in the process, but it seemed like it was after the draft. They really maybe were angling to try to put a rookie in there. I don't know. It wasn't like a panicked move, but it was just such a late addition that like it seemed like, wait, they just gave $8 million to Donovan Smith. I think everybody was surprised, kind of pleasantly, I guess. Like, let's solidify the position, but it didn't seem like it was the plan.
Well, yeah, I mean, a backup plan. I mean, when you're picking at 31 or 32, whatever, this year, it did seem like they're kind of maybe targeting an offensive tackle, and that didn't work out. But once they signed him, I mean, they paid him like a starter. I thought he would, slide in there as a starter. I want to give a shout out to Trey Smith because I think Trey Smith had a rough start to the season, especially going against Aiden Hutchinson. And then I think the second game he was kind of struggling as well. But Trey Smith, since then, he had a hilarious clip where he kind of pancakes the guy on Sunday, and then kind of falls over him. He's like, "Oh, I can't stop myself," and just falls on top. Oh, I've fallen again. But I think Trey Smith has been playing really good. It seems like every single week we get a highlight of him ragdolling a guy to the ground or leading a screen and just mowing someone down. Like Trey Smith's kind of a low-key highlight machine at the right guard position. His
move where it's like he's gonna pass set and somebody picks whatever shoulder they're gonna go by, and then he just whips his whole body and throws them to the ground. It's so fun. I'm like, man, Trey, that's taking a lot of practice. He's kind of got a little karate going on in there.
Fighting?
It looks like.
We got both lines. All lines doing karate with Tamba Ali now. They're all following his lead.
But okay, so transition us. You said you've got the perfect thing.
Well, I'm intrigued by this idea that the Chiefs had a slow start. And you kind of danced around it earlier. I know you were talking about mostly Mahomes and the offense, but wouldn't you agree the general consensus is that the Chiefs got off to a slow start this season?
Yeah. I mean, they lose week 1, and apart from the Bears game, it seemed like the offense was really kind of trying to find itself. And yeah, I'd say slow start seems appropriate.
It just seems funny that even though they had the highest point differential, which is what matters, they had the highest point differential of the Mahomes era. It's not of all time. I saw that one flying around. I think Nick Wright said that on air. I checked it today. It was their third best point differential since 1990. From 2013 and 2003 were better. So I just think it's kind of funny that we have this idea. We just tie in how a team is doing on offense with that's how the team is performing. It's really tough for us to wrap our minds around the defense is playing well, and that side matters just as much as the offense playing well. You can even look at this game and you can be like, well, man, the Chiefs played great in the first half. They were back. Second half, they didn't look so great. But they got the win anyways. When if you look at the points, they won each half by 7 points. They did it in different ways. The offense went off in the first half, and then the defense played its ass off in the second half. But both of them led to the same outcome of, leading by 7 points. So I just think it's kind of funny that, I had my dad in town this week, and he was kind of like, yeah, even though the Chiefs are off to a real slow, they just don't seem the same this year, which I hear over and over and over from national media, from casual fans. Across the board, that just seems like the general consensus is that. And it's intriguing to me because I don't think it's true at all. I don't think they're off to a slow start at all, even though the offense maybe wasn't at the, same level, but it just seems like it's 100% tied in with the success of the offense is how we measure the team is doing it. Maybe that's just a Chiefs thing because they have this dynamic offense that we expect to explode, or maybe that's just, across all sports. I mean, we look at NBA players, for example, and he's great in offense, so he's a great player, and we just do not value their defensive play whatsoever. So it's just kind of an interesting idea to me that even though the offense has been a little down this year, the defense has been up more than enough to make up for it, and that the Chiefs are not off to a slow start overall in the season. They are thriving.
Well, I feel you. In fairness to myself, and many that would be maybe making the argument, maybe at least up until now. And I mean, the start of the season is behind us. Like, we're about to play our, 8th game coming up against Denver this week. That you said toward the end of last week's show, to me, like one of the best points that I've heard locally in a while. And it's about how the math has changed for this team. The fact that, last year you can look at a number 1 offense in the NFL and a middle of the road defense. And that has really always been the formula for the Patrick Mahomes Chiefs. We have the best offense in the league. And as long as they're clicking, we only need the defense to get like 2 or 3 stops and the game is over. They could get stops in the first quarter. It doesn't matter. You stop that other team from scoring just 2 or 3 times, and the offense is going to outpace whoever you're going against. And so we're new here. This is easily the best defense that the Chiefs have had in the Mahomes era. All of these statistics that you're starting to see with DVOA, the real impressive one. Are you still blocked by Bill Barnwell?
Yes, still blocked. He never got to see the dick measuring scale in all its glory.
Okay, so Barnwell had a stat this week that said that last year when the Chiefs were not blitzing, right? They're trying to pressure with 4, I guess. Or you know what? Forget that. We're going to rewind.
We'll edit that.
Here's the actual statistic. Barnwell said that on plays where they don't generate pressure, they were like 32nd in the league in success rate as far as the pass coverage is concerned. So if they don't get pressure, they stunk last year. They're number 2 in the league this year in that exact same category. And so they've essentially like completely flipped in their ability to, if we don't generate pressure, we can still make good plays on defense. Some of that probably the maturity in the secondary. Some of that probably the continued growth at the linebacker position. The addition of Drew Tranquill, I'm sure that we'll hit on, especially with the now multiple months it looks like that Nick Bolton's going to be out. That sure stinks. Maybe it's just Mike Edwards. Love him. This is my man Mike. My man Mike.
What a stud.
Looking good in that 21 jersey out there. But this defense is doing things that we haven't seen a Patrick Mahomes defense do. I'll send it back to you with this. I saw a couple people kind of having the conversation about how when this Chiefs offense, and it absolutely will, is the expectation, when they get back to being top 3, just watch out, folks. And to me, I think that misses the point. And to return to what you said last week about how the math is different, the Chiefs don't need anything better than a top 10 offense, and maybe even not quite that good when you have someone like Patrick Mahomes still running the show there, because the defense is playing that well. If your defense is top 2, top 3, top 5 in the NFL, you can get away with having a slow start on offense. If the offense has always been the barometer for us, then them being slow means the team's off to a slow start. But God, the defense, the crazy thing, and this is where I think Chiefs fans should be so excited, is that this Chiefs defense always stinks out of the gate, and they figure it out by the end of the year. That's like a Spags MO. And so for them to come out so hot, only team in the league that hasn't allowed 21 points yet, and they've allowed 20 twice. But boy, that's a really special unit that they've got opposite Patrick Mahomes. And so I think it's fair to maybe say that the Chiefs started slow because you're used to just using the offense as a barometer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a, perception, looking at perception of people around the league, kind of how they look at the team kind of thing. With the defense, I think in the first half, the Chargers kind of give them some issues with tempo. And it seemed like what they were doing, Craig was kind of breaking this down. They were going tempo going into third down so that the Chiefs couldn't sub into their dime defense. which is where Spags really thrives because he can come up with all the exotic blitzes and coverage schemes. And that's where Spags really wins, gets some dime defense and wins on third downs. So he made the adjustment at halftime. Spags started getting to the dime defense in second down. So then that when they go tempo, you're already where you want to be. And, then they kind of took away what they had and really shut them down in the second half. In that first half, it almost looked like, the Chiefs defense of old. I mean, he was kind of throwing it all over, and there was one-on-one matchups, and it seemed like every single defensive back was kind of getting theirs, kind of giving up a catch here and there. And I was just like, oh, man, really moving the ball. This kind of looks like the Chiefs defense of, last year or 2 years ago kind of thing. But Spags made that really good halftime adjustment. And I just want to say I got a strong take, and I think the most underrated aspect of this Chiefs team right now is Steve Spagnuolo. And I just think the way that he makes adjustments at halftime, the way that, like you said, he improves the defense throughout the season so that they're constantly getting better, the way that they thrive in dime like that. And so because that means Spagnuolo can scheme him up, and now he's going to confuse the quarterback. That's a Spags thing. It's just Spagnuolo is giving him such an edge, and it's like a perfect spot because he's already been a head coach in this league twice, and so it seems really doubtful. Tony Romo was kind of going into this. He was kind of hinting that like Spagnuolo deserves another job, but not many head coaches get a third opportunity after failing in their first two. And I just feel like he's in the perfect spot right now. Like he's where he wants to be. He's exactly what this Chiefs team needs. And it just seems like a perfect marriage. And I don't think he's going to leave for like 10 years. Like he's just going to be here manning the defense. It's his job and he's not going to interfere. He's thriving in the role. He's not going to leave for head coach. I don't think he'll be wanted in that role necessarily. And so I just think Steve Spagnuolo right now is just sitting pretty, and it's worked out for the Chiefs so well. Like it was I don't know if it was much maligned, but some people definitely didn't like the move. I was kind of back and forth. He has so much good history on his resume and so much bad history on his resume. It was kind of tough to tell what you were going to get. But I mean, the way Steve Spagnuolo has commanded the job has just been superb, I would say.
Well, I mean, if you look at the fact that, again, they haven't even allowed 21 points this year. If you count the Lions game, I mean, one of those was Kadarius Toney. The defense hasn't allowed any opponent to score 3 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns at most. I believe that it's only like 3 touchdowns in 3 home games or something like that. Maybe that was prior to the Chargers. I don't know. I was trying to find the number of scoring drives because they were number 2 or number 3 in the league. They'd allowed 15 or 16 scoring drives, I think. There's some pretty staggering statistics coming out of that room. And one of the things that I really enjoy as it relates to Spagnuolo is because he's done it before at the absolute highest level, thinking about the way that his defenses were able to shut down Brady, on the biggest stage. He just seems so comfortable. He seems happy. He seems like truly just kind of at his best, living his best life. Every time that I hear him on the press conferences, I think it's Thursday that the coordinators talk, he comes up and he's like, man, it's just a really beautiful day. It even rained for a little bit out there. We're just having a great time. I'll just give it up to you guys. What questions do you have? I'm just having a wonderful day here in Kansas City. And you hear Andy go up there sometimes, and Andy's like, time's yours. He's got a little Belichick in him every once in a while when he's not feeling good and he's going to take himself a nap. But Spags, man, it just seems like he's walking on sunshine right now. And I mean, why wouldn't he?
He's in a perfect spot. He didn't have to answer a lot of questions, and he shows up. What does he do? 1 interview a week with the press.
Yeah.
I mean, he's thriving with them right now. They're winning Super Bowls. Some coaches are just meant to be coordinators, and they don't make a good head coach. But it's like those are the best hires. Failed head coaches always bring them on as coordinators, and just a glorious hire for the Chiefs. And it bears to be said. So this isn't just you might think like the Chiefs are just thriving because they played good offenses, because a lot of times defensive stats are just, you've played a lot of bad offenses and, that makes your defensive stat looks better. I mean, look at the Eagles last season. We went through their entire season and we're breaking down all the quarterbacks they faced, and it was just a bunch of nothing. So it's like, well, you guys haven't faced anyone. You haven't faced any top offenses. You haven't faced anyone like Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, like, we're not scared of this defense. The Chiefs have faced offenses so far. This is my favorite stat, points per drive. So far this season, the 7th, 8th, 10th, which is the Bears, the 13th, 16th, which is the Broncos. Broncos top offense, top half offense of the league. 18th and 28th. So 6 of the 7 opponents so far are top 18. 3 in the top 10. Only 1 really bad offense, which is the Jets in terms of points per drive. But they aren't doing this against bad defenses is the point, or bad offenses is the point. They're shutting down good offenses. Like, it's remarkable what the defense has done. And we started to even see the first, cracks in the seams here. And, they have their first adversity, gave up 17 points at half, like facing a good quarterback. Let's see how they respond. Completely shut them down in the second half. What do they go? Interception, 3 and out. I lost it. I had those at one point. But the second half drives by the Chargers, interception, 3 and out, interception. That's the second half drives from the Chargers. Just total domination. Like what more can you say about this defensive unit?
Well, and if you look at the first and second half splits, first half, you guys are not good for an audio medium, but Dirk just left me. My wife left me. So Dirk, I'm not sure if you caught the first and second half splits. First half, Chargers run 32 plays. They gained 233 yards, 7.3 yards per play, and put up 17 points. There was a tweet from Vahe at like the 8 or 9 minute mark left in the second quarter. And it's like the Chiefs have the most they've allowed in a game is 21 to the Lions. And they're in danger of maybe letting that happen in the first half against the Chargers. And I'm like, oh, crap. Of course, the offense looks good on the day that the defense can't seem to get a stop. And the Chargers did not sniff the end zone for the final 37 minutes of the game, I believe. In the second half, 29 plays as opposed to 32, 125 instead of 233 yards, 4.3 yards per play, and 0 points scored. Hard to score points when you punt 3 and out, or sorry, interception, punt, 3 and out, interception. Punt, not good. Bad stuff from the Chargers offense. Doesn't matter exactly what they did. They did nothing. That's what they actually did.
Yep.
A couple things I think to kind of focus in on about this defensive performance. The first guy that I think most Chiefs fans will think about is, oh man, Charles Omenihu. This guy, he gets to play in his first game as a Chief, and he's really kind of lighting it up out there. He gets a sack. He's got a batted pass. I believe actually 2 batted passes. One of them was down in the red zone. It's looking good. He looks real sharp in that number 90 out there. But honestly, the first guy that I would think about coming out of this Chargers game is Willie Gay. I thought that
Lockstep.
I thought that Willie Gay had arguably his best game as a Chief. Really seemed locked in a way that, like, even the little things, which is sometimes what it seems like is where Willie kind of fails, is like that last bit of execution in a play. His contract year is going to get real interesting. Willie's in the final year of his deal. Nick Bolton is about to miss 8 straight weeks at minimum, and he's already missed 2 games, I think. Willie is getting a lot of snaps, and he can make plays against the run, against the pass, as a blitzer. Willie Gay. Gay watch. Phenomenal.
Yeah, I had him down as the MVP of the game. Just seemed like he was everywhere making plays. It seems like ever since I specifically called him the 4th best linebacker on the team. To be fair, I called him the best 4th linebacker in the entire NFL. So it was kind of a compliment, really. But ever since I said that, he's been thriving. And he's, I've been pushing for the Tranquil and Bolton on the field at the same time. Gay has made that very tough, even though Nick Bolton played great in this game and also Drew Tranquil played great in this game. It's been said already this week multiple times, but the importance of signing Drew Tranquil, when we did it, it was just like, why? Like, why we have holes on this team? Why are we signing another linebacker when we know that, Nick Bolton and Willie Gay are locked in as the starters? It just seemed like a weird signing to me. And then it kind of comes out that, Tranquil kind of wanted to come here. The Chiefs really liked what they saw from him. And it was just like, well, if both sides want this to happen, let's just make it happen. And that's going to be extremely important. Like, if this injury were to happen to us last year, and now we got Darius Harris subbing in as a now full-time player, like, you might be worried about this defense. I mean, now we need a signal caller. We need all this new stuff. And it's just like this luxury piece that we added. We have no idea that Bolton's going to get hurt at the time, but man, it's going to pay huge dividends. Bolton's already missed 2 or 3 games maybe, and now he's going to miss 6 more. Like, that signing is just another thing going the Chiefs' way. It's just a lot of things going the Chiefs' way. And it's going to be huge. That's huge for us.
That sack that Tranquil got to close out the game, basically, a little extra sauce on that one. You could tell that he was very hyped up. And, he said he really kind of had some extra juice playing against his old team. And I mean, I've said that, like, watching Tranquil, I don't notice him very much. I made that comparison where it's like, if you don't see an offensive lineman, he's having a good game. You don't see a corner, he's having a good game. You don't see a middle linebacker, I don't know if that means he's having a good game or not. But the fact that the defense, without what many people are calling like a top 5 linebacker in the NFL right now, all the time that Bolton has already missed and all the time that he's going to continue to miss this year, Tranquil is really going to endear himself to a lot of people, and he's only on a 1-year contract. So the Chiefs are going to be in an interesting position where it's like Nick Bolton is going to be due for a contract extension. Willie Gay is due for a contract extension. Drew Tranquil is due for a contract if you want to keep him around. They're going to have an interesting set of decisions to make there because – you were talking about trying to get like Bolton and Tranquil on the field at the same time. When they first signed him, I thought it said more about Willie Gay than anything else. Like, this guy's probably potentially going to push Willie to start in that weak side linebacker spot. And now he's just going to get all these snaps in the middle. And if you think about it, I mean, if you guys are willing to do a silly thought experiment, welcome to Amateur Hour. Like, if they hadn't signed Tranquil and Bolton got hurt like this, it probably means that you put Leo in the middle because he played middle at Wisconsin, because otherwise you're talking about like Jack Cochran or something like that. And so then it's Leo and Willie as your 2 linebackers. And sure, they're athletic and stuff, but like, they're probably not still, second in the league in success rate without generating pressure the way that they are this year. I imagine you're going to be seeing some gaps there in the middle of the field. And so I feel very fortunate that they got Tranquil as late in the process as they did, for as affordable as they did. And he just seems absolutely thrilled to be here. You want to know about the state of the Chargers? Talk to Drew Tranquil, who played there for 4 years and seems like he is just like playing in Hawaii here for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's just having the time of his life too. He and Spags. It's just beautiful to be here, isn't it?
Everybody's having the time of their life. And then Charles Aminu had the quote after the game. His sack was the happiest moment of his career.
Yeah.
People are having a great time. Everyone's having a great time.
I'm enjoying watching the Chiefs.
Party over here. Yeah, so I think it'll be kind of cool. Well, not cool. It'll be kind of good to get this evidence to have, now Tranquil and Gay together. It kind of helps them make the decision of what linebackers to move forward with in the future, because we're kind of getting evidence of Gay and Tranquil and Bolton and seeing which combination works. And now we get to see evidence of each of them playing together and see who to move forward with. So I think that will kind of be good for them. And that's where we're at with this Chiefs defense. We keep talking about this, but they have so much depth that like an injury just means an opportunity for someone new. And it's kind of exciting. Did you have anything more on the defense, or I want to do some Mahomes versus AFC West stuff?
Yeah, one last thing, and it's really just piggybacking on something that BJ talked about. I think it's a really interesting time for the fan base of the Chiefs. He talked about like watching this defense play the way that it does. It makes the Chiefs fun on a fan level, particularly inside the stadium, that they haven't been really since like the 90s. And if you cut your teeth in that era when you're watching guys like Derek Thomas and Neil Smith, I'm assuming that's a 5'8", right? That's DT. Okay. Yeah. Dirk in the Derek Thomas jersey today. BJ talked about how like when you actually like get loud at the stadium and you scream and you make noise and you feel like you affect the game, all of this is on defense. And so when you have this dominating defense, it actually like really does change the atmosphere at the stadium, because celebrating touchdowns is great, but trying to mess with the opponent and having a defense that can come through in those clutch situations and make those big plays, that's Arrowhead at its best. And so now you've got that in addition to what this offense can do with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And like, brother, it has got to be such a party at Arrowhead. I really would like to get out there before the season is over because I want to experience this Chiefs defense live and in person.
I mean, it's a great point. And you kind of think of the launch of the Chiefs. In the 80s, they were nothing. And then Carl Peterson and Marty Schottenheimer show up and really build up the defense. And that's when the crowd really establishes themselves as one of the best in the NFL. And it's kind of on, with that defense, they kind of come up together, the crowd and the defense. And because, like you said, you kind of supporting them more actively on game day than you are the offense. That's a great point. I like that.
And if you believe what the internet wants to tell you, which is that all Chiefs fans have only been Chiefs fans for like 5 or 6 years, they're going to start to grow up with this defense because they're the youngest defense in the NFL, by the way, average starting age for their major snap contributors. So there might be some changes that happen, obviously. But man, and final point, then I will let you do your Mahomes stuff. Chris Jones played 86% of the snaps on Sunday. Not like a fully dominating performance.
Broke his sack streak. He had a sack streak of 9-10 games, I think it was. The second longest in team history behind himself. He broke that streak.
And the Chiefs still ended up having 5 on the day. Your question to start the season, is the new Chris Jones, the forever Chris Jones? I think the answer is yes. I think it is. I really did not expect in a game against the Chargers, in whatever it is, week 7, when you're pretty much leading, you kind of have control of the game for the most part. Don't get me wrong, it's close here and there. 86% of the snaps, man. Like I really didn't think that we were going to continue to see him play like that. He led the NFL in defensive snaps for an interior lineman last year. And then we also ended up seeing, there was a stat that made its way out from PFF, that the pass rush win rate for Chris Jones as an edge rusher is 4% higher than any other edge rusher in the league. And so it's like they don't put him out on the edge much, but when they do, he is winning at a higher rate, significantly higher rate than any other player in the league. Impressive stuff from Chris Jones, especially when he basically seemingly didn't have an offseason with the team.
And also crazy because, we had that season where he tried to go defensive end full time and it seemed like a total failure. And then all of a sudden the next season he kind of does it part time. and it's like the best thing ever. Like I won't really understand that ever, how it seemingly was so bad one year, and then when he kind of does it part-time the next year, it just absolutely thrives. It's just a wild transition.
Yeah.
All right, Mahomes against the AFC West. We just gotta get these stats off before we play the Broncos again, I think. And then a little bit of a take here.
I think I can tell you it's true. We are playing the Broncos on Sunday. You don't have to think. It's true. Confirmed.
I think. All right. Good. We didn't even need a producer for that. Patrick Mahomes now 29-3 versus the AFC West. 29-3. That's absurd. Some stats here from Taylor Witt on Twitter. I was about to do a deep dive on this, but he kind of did the work for me. Just in terms of record against division, over a long period of time, the NFL record for 48 game span was 41-7 by the 49ers in 91-98. The Andy Reid Chiefs are now 43-5 in their last 48 division games. So I mean, unbelievably thriving. It's and even the wins, you're just like, you can pick them out and be like, well, that shouldn't have happened. There was a pass interference in that Chargers game, so that loss shouldn't have happened. There was the Derek Carr multiple times from 4th and 1 getting flags. That loss shouldn't have happened. Like, you can even pick out the wins and like have problems with them. At least I can. So just insane stats there of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid's AFC West dominance. What you got?
Well, as I check the math here, 48 games is 8 seasons against the AFC West, right? 6 games a year. 8 times 6 is 48. Okay, so 8 seasons against the AFC West. The Chiefs have lost 5 games.
Best of all time with slim margins there, and yet they are 2 games ahead of the next best ever. Just insane what they're doing. Absurd stuff going. Everything going the Chiefs' way. I mean, it's ridiculous what's going on in Kansas City right now, and that's why I think the Chiefs are going to lose to the Broncos this week. I think they're going to lose. I think it's going to happen. Too much is going right. Last year we lost to the Colts. We almost lost to the Texans down the stretch, and we still won the Super Bowl. So, I mean, these losses can happen. We're going for 16 in a row, which seems absurd. Like something might get thrown in there. Playing them twice in 3 weeks seems kind of weird. I had a vision. That's my vision this week, is that the Chiefs are going to lose to the Broncos.
I think the Broncos won on Sunday, a game that they had really no business winning against the Packers. Boy, the Packers are bad this year. I don't agree. I believe the Chiefs are going to beat the Broncos. In fact, I think that they might beat them the way that we expected them to the first time, and actually get like a real blowout. And everyone's going to be like, oh, man, the Chiefs are on the warpath, headed to Frankfurt. And then I think they lay a big egg that suddenly the defense probably has its worst game of the year because they're playing against Miami, that the offense sputters a little bit, and everybody's like, oh, look at that Dolphins defense. Here they come. And Chiefs and Dolphins tied in record in the AFC again, and it's going to get real spicy with all the Tyreek stuff and everything else. And I think that is going to motivate them to then essentially play immaculate out of the bye. That would be my guess.
There's no way we're losing in our second home.
I think they might take a big dump in Germany, just like get out there.
That's everybody's dream.
Not good.
Everybody's dream, isn't it? To take a big dump in Germany. Who can fault them? But man, the Germans love the Chiefs. This has kind of been, I don't know if they have a special relationship. I don't totally get why, but it seems like they've been tied together for like the last couple of years, and now we're coming over there. Going to be a lot of Chiefs support. No, I think we beat the Dolphins, but I just had a feeling.
Sound like a real company man after that run-in with Clark Hunt. Well, the Germans love the Chiefs, as you well know. They've got a very established footprint over there in Frankfurt, particularly. Folks, this has been Amateur Hour. I'm Ryan Scott Hall. He's his Dirkness, and Justin Herbert is Phillip Rivers.
He is not. He is not worthy. He is not worthy.